Hey guys, welcome to another video of MaxiAspie and welcome to this special video where you will be seeing a compilation video of all the speeches that I did last year. Now, not all the speeches I did last year was filmed due to data protection, GDPR and all that fancy lovely stuff. However, a lot of the speeches I did last year was filmed and I'm very happy to show you some small snippets in this compilation video of those speeches. If you'd like the full videos, please contact me. And guys, here are the videos. I hope you enjoy.
So I just want to talk about a little bit of my experiences growing up. So basically, I didn't have Facebook, I'd say, till I was probably in year 7. It was just when I was starting secondary school. Um, and it's an odd thing because if you don't have it, you're sort of bullied for not having it. And if you have it, then you run the risk of not only being bullied at school, but then taking the bullying away from school into your home life. And this is exactly what happened to me. So it started really on Facebook, turned into text messages, and even some of the times I would try and play online on Xbox, it would turn into being invited into party chats and being shouted at and being just verbally abused all the time. To the point where I remember being at school and I had a message from one of the people that was bullying me, basically saying if I was to come in the next day, there'd be 7 people waiting to beat me up. Um, and it all stemmed from because I went to where I went to a local village school because I had a educational health and care plan. I had to go to a different secondary school, so it just meant that I had to make friends um, again. Basically, took me 6 years to sort of make friends, and then I had to make them again. So social media and the online aspects basically it sort of forces your hand to join in on the social media, and therefore the bullying starts and continuous. And I'd say the bullying can be quite a lot worse mentally draining online because unfortunately people say things because they are behind the screen. I call them keyboard warriors. They know that they can sort of get away with it, and so they don't really realize the extent of their actions. They don't understand that one thing online could turn into a suicide case or self-harming and all this other stuff. So I just wanted to put that out there as well as what is an online hate crime. It could be verbal abuse, it could be coercion online, it could be theft online, because there's many people out there that will get their accounts hacked. There's many people that will have money stolen from accounts or forced to transfer money online through basically persuasive behavior. If you were my friend, you would do this, or if you were my friend, you would do that. And it can just really sort of carry on getting worse.
I mean, one of the things that I noticed throughout the talk is that, especially in the chat box, people were talking about, you have to treat the individual person. And Max and I had a chat the other day, and Max was saying, if you meet one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. I mean, but for professionals with busy workloads and lots of caseloads, how do they do this? How do they make sure that they know that person individually? If you I suppose this is for all 3 of you. What tips do you have so that they can take away and maybe work a little better to getting to know the person in front of them?
I mean, is it okay if I just
Of
came in on
course.
that one? I think one of the reasons diagnoses and everything else takes so long is because of that lack of getting to know the person. Because, you know, if if they are to get to know that person, it it delays that sort of backlog. I just think if you was to have that time to get to know the person more, you get quicker support, you get quicker results needed for that person. But because there's no time to do that, and you sort of have one person come through the door and then you have another one, that next person in the door could be someone that you did see 6 months ago, and you could have got it then and know that person inside and out. But because of that, it becomes more challenging.
Thanks, Max. Alexis, do you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I think Max has covered it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same. I mean, it's the same as we get to know any person, isn't it? You know, like if you've met one non-autistic person, you've met one non-autistic person. You know, it's exactly
Yeah.
the same. None of us are the same. We're all unique. We're all individual. But I guess the challenge for staff on this call, and the challenge for parents thinking about how they can get staff to know their kids better, or know their adult, you know, autistic people better, is actually how staff can make time, because they have to make time. If we don't make time, then that support just isn't going to happen.
Absolutely.
Onto these topics. So I guess I'll throw it over to all of you, and whichever one wants to go first. But what are some of the challenges with that idea of equality of opportunity within the workplace, and what can we do to kind of overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, I really agree that technology can really help people in a way that they need to be helped. I think sometimes, though, it's the simple things. So I think one of the biggest problems for employers is they don't necessarily understand other neurodiverse conditions, to the point where I had the honour to work with the National Autistic Society back in 2016, and on the survey they did, 90% of employers admitted that they wouldn't hire somebody with autism because they didn't know how to support them, which is just a staggering statistic. But it's sometimes, as I say, the simple things. So for me, it was when you're going to an interview, just knowing the directions, having that visual representation of what the building looks like when you get there, what's going to happen that day, having a real clear guide of what's going to happen that day can really help an autistic person. I worked at a company once where I said to them, it's really helpful for me to wear headphones because it just helps me concentrate. And the boss at the time said, sorry, you can't wear headphones. And I looked around the room and I just sort of laughed. I went, well, he's wearing headphones, he's wearing headphones. And she just went, well, you're in probation, they're not. And it's just the small little things like that technology, just by wearing headphones, could really help somebody in the workplace. So sometimes it doesn't have to be the biggest, fanciest thing. Sometimes it's just the small, simple things can really help neurotypical people. And that's just one of the examples, really, of just a small thing like wearing headphones, which, let's face it, probably costs you £10 for a pair of headphones, YouTube to listen to a bit of music that can really help that person. So sometimes it's the small things. And I think for employers, it's hard for them to understand the small things until you have that conversation. And I think that's where it comes to overcoming it. It's just having that clear communication with people and being open to things. You know, one rule doesn't fit everybody. We're all different, we're all diverse. But just because someone's got a condition doesn't mean they can't do the job or, you know, can't function in everyday life.
So the first thing I always get asked by people is, what is autism? So autism is very complex and it can affect many, many people differently. A lot of people will look at me and think, okay, I hear it all the time where people say, oh, well, you don't seem autistic, you don't look autistic. And I'll just go, oh, well what does autism look like? Because it looks different across the board. And a lot of people measure autism in a sort of bar, which I always think isn't the best way to do it, because some people look at it as low functioning, high functioning. I don't necessarily agree with that method. I like to think of autism as a mix board. So you've got these sort of things on a mix board. You've got your autism, and the dial for processing could be quite high, could be quite low. Emotion could be quite high, could be quite low. Understanding, high, low. Socialisation, meltdowns, anxiety, triggers, talking, and empathy. So all of these things and many, many more you might see in an autistic person. But I always try and say, because a lot of what happens with a lot of people is they go to get a diagnosis and the doctor will turn around and go, sorry, they're just not autistic enough. Or it's like a measuring scale, and it doesn't work. So the way I look at it is like a mixed board. You know, you've just got different dials for different things. It's not linear. And these are the things that can affect an autistic person, and it has affected me in my life, which I will speak about a little bit later on. What am I doing? I persevered with college, and around the same time I was sat down watching EastEnders, and I thought how great it would be to tell a story day in, day out. And I thought, well, I want to get into acting. So I joined some small productions in Newbury where I had one line or two, and one of the people that was on the show doing the makeup said she had just got a gig to do the makeup on an E4 series called Glue, and that they were looking for extras. And me being me, I was like, yeah, I want to go for this. So I get up there, I get the extra role, and at the time there was a very battling of conflict.
I'd say growing up, it was tough to socialise. It really was tough to socialise, and my OCD got worse, I found, as I got more aware and more grown up. I always remember at school, mainly with my OCD, I had an obsession that I always felt that someone was trying to poison me. So I would often wash my hands, I would often get my mum to bite the sandwich before I ate it. So I was like, if you're going down, mum, you're going down with me, you know? So, and it's, again, such an absorbed thought, because you think someone's going to bite into a sandwich and just drop, you know? But that was my logic. And then it was followed by a 3-year weight obsession. So I was very conscious about my weight, wouldn't eat. And then, clearly all right now, but now it then went on to bad luck. I was obsessed with things bad happening, so I would have an impulse that I would have to do something in case something bad would happen. Good example, I would have to walk out of my house, my right foot would have to leave the pavement. Before I left the pavement, I would have to look left and right 100 times. And if I didn't do that and my right foot didn't leave the pavement, I'd have to do it again. So I had kids coming up to me sort of going, why can't you cross the road? You know, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? And it was all because I was, in my head, the OCD was basically saying, if you don't do that, then your mum and dad might die, or something like that. So it's very hard to get your head around OCD. People try and explain it, and you probably come across like, oh God, you know, you wouldn't want to be with him in a bar sort of thing, but that's the sort of difficulty that comes with OCD. The ADHD was difficult because at the time I tried cognitive behavioural therapy and it just didn't work for me. And to be honest, I think I was at the age where I was just too young to sort of get it. You know, I was too young to sort of understand that, okay, these people are trying to help me. You know, you often walk into cans and you think, oh God, here we go again, you know, here again. And you don't really understand that, no, you know, you're there because they're trying to help you. So when the cognitive behavioural therapy didn't work, I then had to go on medicine. And the downside of the medicine was I sort of got into the zombie effect, you know, so I was present in a classroom, but mentally wasn't there.